Hey guys, so this is what we're doing on the Freelander today. So we're doing the braking system. So we're going to be going through and replacing the calipers, brake pads, brake discs, and sort of slider bolts and things like that. So yeah, let's go through all of it. Okay, so yeah, we've got the calipers. So one of the main things I'm doing for this job, so my calipers have seized. So that's why we're going to be replacing these. Also the slider bolts have sort of seized on them as well. So yeah, seized all around. So yeah, we've got these nice little calipers. These came from, I believe, Advantage Braking. I'll put a link in them for them down below. But yeah, really decent, well-priced calipers. Much cheaper than some other places and seem to have really good reviews. And they seem pretty hefty, so yeah, happy with those. So we're replacing them. And then we've got, I went with Mintex brake pads just because I found they last a lot longer. And these came from MTEC Braking Systems, I think it's called. So I'll put a link to them below as well. So yeah, nice, decent pads there. Like I said, I've used Mintex a lot and they've always seemed to last quite a while. And MTEC also got these made up for me. So that's just the slider pins. So this is one thing I was really excited to get onto the Freelander. So to match the paintwork with the brake discs, I went with these. So these are going to be a really nice little addition to the Freelander. As I can't imagine I'm going to use the drilled and grooved effect all that much for dispelling gases away, but what I might do is link a really good video that I found describing sort of how these work and what they do. It's a really good video actually, so I'll probably put a link somewhere around here if I can figure out how to do it, on how sort of drilled and grooved discs sort of affect performance, how they work with heat dissipation, etc. It really explained it well and really sort of helped me understand a little bit of it as well. So but yeah, decided to go with these and I got them in the gold. So MTEC, they do sort of standard discs, and then they've just released, from what I can gather, they're sort of this coating, sort of rust proofing, and they do it in black, silver and gold. And of course, having the camel trophy paintwork, I went with the gold because hopefully it's going to look quite nice and going to match up quite well. But yeah, hopefully they're going to be really nice on there. So I'll leave a link for them down below as well because I really like those discs. The coating's really nice. It's smooth and even all over. And like you say, it's going to be that sort of rust proofing as well. So hopefully it keeps them nice and fresh. And like I say, with the grooves and the things, it keeps the pads nice and clear as well. So yeah, let's get on and fit the bits. Okay, so the first step with any of this is just going to be jacking the vehicle up, wheels off, axle stands in, getting it ready. So we're going to jack up both the front, so he's doing both front wheels. So let's get it up. Okay, so the vehicle's up in the air and we've got the discs and everything sort of exposed now. So this is what you're looking for with like sort of seized calipers and that. All this damage to the disc, you know, all this scoring effectively is reducing surface area. So where that caliper has been sort of stuck shut effectively, it's been basically keeping the brakes constantly on. So it gets very hot, you burn through your pads, and then the pads also cause this damage to the disc. So that's why we're replacing all of it today. You could in theory do sort of calipers and try and sort of straighten that out, but it's not worth it. Just for safety, just, you know, in my opinion, just replace everything. So that's why we're doing caliper, discs, and then the pads in here as well. So yeah, first step is going to be just getting this outer part of the caliper off, well, the caliper itself off. So let's crack on and do that. Okay, so when looking at the caliper here, first thing you need to get out is the slider pin bolts, which are these little rubbers at the top here, at the bottom here. So it's just the two bolts on the back. So you've got one here and one down here. And on mine that is a 12mm. So I'm just going to use a 12mm spanner on these. I don't want to use a ratchet, so I'm just going to use a 12mm spanner on these. and I'll get both of them off. So I took mine apart the other day just to sort of inspect everything, which is why my nuts and bolts are a little bit looser, but it may be worth obviously going through a day or two before you're doing the job and just spray everything with WD-40. But that's just the, well, that's the bottom one coming out now. There we go, so that's those two out. So next we're going to be getting the caliper off. Obviously, like I said, because mine's seized, it's squeezing in, so it's going to be fairly tight on there. So I've just got a big bar. And we're just going to kind of slowly lever it away. There we go. That's him off of there. So once it's off, just to help out a little bit, I should probably put them together before. Just going to get 2 cable ties. And go that way. One through there, up through there. And that's just going to hold the caliper up out the way for us. Okay, so we're going to get the pads out, so they should just pop out. Obviously on these they've got the backing plate on them, so make sure your vehicle has these. If they don't, obviously they might not be necessary, so they just pop out from the side. And as you can see, there's a lot of scoring on these pads, and it's worn through a lot of them very quickly because these are fairly new. Frustrating, but there you go, so that's those out. Mine has slider carriers, so if you've got them, they just pop out like so. And like I say, this is what your pads slide along. So when we put them back in, we're going to put some copper grease just on these bits. Make sure not to get any on the disc or the pad, but it just helps the brake pad go in and out on that one. And then what you've got here is these are the slider pins. So we're going to be pulling those out, and we're going to be replacing those as well. So that's one out. As I say, it came out nice and easy, and I greased them up the other day, so this is going to be the tight one. Yep, this is the one that's seized. Yeah, new rubbers, new everything. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so that was the difference between a non-seized and a seized one. So the non-seized, just a nice easy rod, just straight out. The bottom ones on the Freelander for some reason have this little rubber sort of grommet at the end, and that's what seizes in there, because they sort of swell and deteriorate over time. So that's what, yeah, a lot more work getting that one out. Ended up just using the big adjustable, putting that over the end of it against the square end like that, so you've got the square cap bit on the end there, and just whacking that with a lump hammer until it pushed it out. So yeah, that's both of those out. Now it's time to get the carrier off. So on the back here there's let's have a look, what can I see here? Can you see my hands? One bolt in here, just that one there, and the bottom one here. So you've got the slider pins go here and here, and the bolts are just in from those on the top and bottom. On mine there are 15. Okay, so this is the 2 bolts, like I said before. They're 15s and they're just in from those slider pins. We're going to use the breaker bar and a 15. Also be careful that you don't round these off, because if you round these off you're knackered. So they're going to be fairly tight, but okay, that one's broken at least. It's easier to get this on. Right, let's start round one. very limited on space. I'm finding the angle. There we go. There we go. And once they get a bit looser, you can just go in with a ratchet or a spanner. They're probably loose enough now in theory. Or have a look. Yeah. So there we go. So it's worth noting as well, start on a hex point and move up to a multi-hex when they're a bit looser. If you start on a multi-hex, you run the risk of rounding them off a bit more. And that's him out. So there we go. So that is the carrier now undone. So now it's just going to be separating it away from the rest of it. So let's get that off. Okay, so once you get those bolts out, this will come out much the same way the calipers do. Just give it a little tap and he'll come on out, and that's your carrier out. Okay, so now we've got all of that off and the carrier off. The next step is getting the disc off. So this is just the 2 screws here. On this is a posi drive. I've seen Torx bits, I've seen sort of all other kinds of things on these, but these are just screws. They were a little bit tight, but with the right kind of fat, well, posi sort of screwdriver, they will just come undone, and they do just unscrew, and then that'll be your disc coming off. So we'll just get these done. So we'll just be these sort of little grub screws. There's one. Oh, there's 2. So that's that step done. So this is now able to come off. So sometimes you will need to give them a whack. It looks like mine are relatively loose anyway, so that will just pull off. Ta-da! So that is the disc off. Okay, so it's just started raining a bit, so I'm just doing this on the boot. So what you get with this, with the disc, actually is a really useful sheet. And it just shows you the orientation of the disc. So the grooves on the disc here, if they are facing that way, where are we looking? There we go, that way. You know it's the right side of the car, which is sort of the driver's side. Now I'm doing, well, on this guy's the driver's side. So if I'm doing the passenger side, the left side of the car, so you can see the orientation of the discs there. They're facing the opposite way to that. So they're going backwards like that. So I now know that's the left side. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is compare, obviously these, I've done it before, but what you look at is you've got the 3 at the top here with the screw in the middle, 3 at the top here with the screw in the middle, 3 in here with the screw in the middle, 3 in the screw in the middle, and then the one offset. So we now know these match up, so getting these on the car. Straight on like that. So now it's just going to be getting these screws back in. There we go. So that's the screws back in. And that is one very gorgeous disc on there. You can see the grooves are facing forward, so when I put the other one on the other side, they'll be doing the same orientation, so you want to make sure these are going this way, with this one at least. So like I say, if you get discs for yourself from these guys, like I say, it should come with the instruction sheet on what it's going to look like on your car, like it did with mine, but yeah, gorgeous. Okay, so just going to be putting the carrier back on now. And when we're doing this, because the bolts are going back in, I don't want them to be fused in there like they were last time. I'm just going to use a little bit of this Deltaplex stuff. I found it's just really good sort of grease that's good, that works well with this kind of job. I'm only going to use a tiny bit because I don't want them to come loose whilst they're in there. But it's just lining this back up as it comes in. Put them in after. So what we could do is get the top one in and then tap the other one down onto it. So let's get this one here. Okay, that's them both located. So once you've got one in, the other one you can kind of just sort of swing into the right bit. Like I said, we've got a bit of grease on there. Right. That's those tight. That's the carrier back on. So the next step is going to be getting these slider pins in, and then it's going to be replacing the caliper over. So I've saved the that bit till last because we're going to sort of do a quick swap. So we're going to sort of undo this and put it straight into the new one and then straight back on. So why I thought I'd do it. Obviously this is relatively new. These are sort of the brake lines I made up. So this shouldn't be too difficult to get off, I'm hoping. And then, like I say, new calipers. So yeah, next up, let's get those slider pins in. Okay, so the next job is going to be getting the slider pins back in again. So I bought a new set of these because I didn't want to use those old ones again. So there's the old, horrible, rusted up. That one's ruined completely. And these will be the new ones. So there's one longer one and one short one. The shorter one goes on the bottom, the longer one goes on the top. The short one has a little rubber sleeve that goes on the end of it. So these just eventually, with a bit of persuasion, there we go. So that is the rubber sleeve on that one there. So we use these two here. You've also got the rubber sort of boot that goes on these as well. So that'll go on there, and then I believe they're all the same length. Yes, they are. That will go on there. We're going to grease them up, and they're going to go into here. And make sure you're sealing both ends of those boots over the end on these bits. There's little knuckles on either one. Make sure you're sealing that on there. Okay, so this is what you should see. It's just nicely bedded up against there. So there's a little bit of grease. When I say a little bit, a lot. And so you don't want to use copper grease for this, because copper grease, I think it's sort of petroleum bits in there, I can't remember what it is now. Something in there that degrades the rubbers over time. So this one shouldn't do that, and that should slide into there. I'll do the grommet bit in a moment. Same with this one, just a nice, healthy, generous amount of this grease. There we go. Compare that to the one earlier on that was completely seized. That's lovely. So then it's just using these sort of fingernails over the top, and you'll feel it sort of pop as it seals onto those knuckles. There we go. That just should be on there. There we go. There we go. So what you're looking at now is just nicely sealed on here and on here. On, get my hand out the way, both ends. Before we get the calipers on there, we're just going to get the brake pads back in. Like I say, I got these nice Mintex ones. Like I say, I've always sort of liked Mintex. I've just found that they last quite a while, and they're decent braking pads, so they just literally click in like that. Okay, so getting the caliper on. So these are sided, so if you look on these ones, they've got an L, obviously left. The other one have an R on it for right, and this was the Advantage Auto parts, I think it was. Really nice, sort of smart ones. So it's just hooping that over there, that onto there, and then just capturing both of those return sort of slider pins, and then bolt on through. Got to sort of try and line it up. There we go. Right, there's one. Try not to get in the way of the there's two. So now it's just going to be doing them up tight. That's the caliper pads and discs on. So that's pretty much all of it done. Next bit will just be getting that bit off and putting it in there, and I'll show you how we're going to do that in one go in a moment. Tight. Lovely. 14 on mine. Like I said, these other brake lines are made up, so it might be slightly different on yours, but the 14 on mine. You've got this little notch here, and there's a little notch at the top of this bit here as well. That's where the banjo is going to come through. So we're going to try and undo this, swing it down into there, and do it back up as quick as we can without losing as little fluid as possible. Make sure you don't lose that washer. Swing it down into there, locate. Wasn't the most smooth transition, but it's in. Right, that's that done. Hopefully as little as possible lost there, but all back in. Okay, so this caliper is now useless. It's not connected to anything. So just cut that one away. Plonk it into the bowl so it just drips out some of the brake fluid for a while. And that is the new one all on and ready to go. So there we go. All we've got to do now is bleed the brakes through a little bit, and that's the job done. Okay, so we're going to bleed the brakes now. So just push the end onto here. It's just going to be a little auto bleeder by Sealy. So let's have a look at what size this is. Is he 11? Is he a 10? He's a 10, so just going to slightly slacken the bolt off there. Like so you can keep the rubber tube relatively steady until it starts letting fluid out. And then what we're going to do is tap the brakes. It's just going to feed it on through, and we don't even need to worry about going on and off with the nut. We can just leave it open and just press the brakes as it flows on through, and that'll get all the air out of the system. So we'll crack on and do that now. Okay, so that is one side done. So now it's just going to get the wheel back on, and that's that bit done, and then repeat the whole process but on the other side. So hopefully this video has been useful to you guys. Like I say, when you do the other side, it will just be a mirror image onto the other side. So effectively everything we've done this side, just do it on the other side. Really like these discs. Like I say, they're from MTEC. I strongly recommend them so far. Let's say I'll do a quick road test when we're done, but yeah, really nice discs. They fit perfect, you know. Obviously they supply the Mintex pads as well. They're on the website, so I chose for that option. I think they did EBC as well. So yeah, I went with the gold plating. Like I said, they do black, silver, gold, or just sort of standard. But I thought, to be honest, you know, I don't drive this all the time, so I used to get rust on the discs and things. So hopefully this will help with that quite a bit. And hello, cat. So yeah, there you go. Really, really smart. So what I'll do is I'll get the wheels back on, do the other side, and I'll get an overall view of what they look like on both sides as well. With especially with the black rims, it should look quite smart with the gold in behind. Okay, so that's the passenger side done as well now. So you can see the nice gold disc shining through the black wheel there. It's exactly what I wanted, which is really nice. If we come to the better lighting side now, I mean, I know you've already seen the passenger side, but yeah, really, really nice. And when you come in close, you can see all that drilled and grooved section in there. Nice new calipers as well. So almost a brand new braking system really. On that passenger side, the slider pin on the top was completely seized. I ended up stopping recording. I didn't bother putting it in there because I've already done this side. So I ended up having to take it out, put it in a vise, mole grips, everything, and it was a bit of a bugger. So yeah, stuff to plan for if you're doing this kind of work is, you know, the bottom one on this side, the top one on the other side. And I thought that was going to be the easy one because it's just the straight rod. But yeah, both on there, they look really smart. Like, you know, MTEC do a really, really smart job with those. And like you say, it's a really nice, decent coating on there. Should stop it from rusting. And like I said, I don't think I need drilled and grooved, but they look fun. So yeah, let's go and road test it. I say I probably have to bed them in for a little bit, but let's go road test them. Okay, so brakes are on, everything's installed, driving along now. Haven't really pressed the brakes yet, so I'm going to go up to about 30, sit at 30, I'm going to put the brakes on and see how they feel. I know it's going to need a bit of bedding in. Wow, yeah. Okay, so straight away the brake pedal is far more responsive, and I know I'm comparing brand new disc calipers, pads, slider pins, etc. to all old, worn out, seized equipment. So you know, I'm not saying, you know, this is drilled and grooved and that's exactly what's causing this, you know, because they've got that there, something's always better. It's just new. So I think even if you had completely standard discs and pads, etc., just doing all this work, you're going to get similar results. So straight away, the brakes come on much sooner. There was so much sponge in the brakes before, and now it's almost entirely gone. I don't want to press the brakes, you know, too hard immediately. I don't want to go too hard on them straight away. They will need a bit of bedding in, but yeah, immediately I'm getting that sort of almost straight away response from the brakes, which is really nice. I haven't actually driven the Freelander like that yet. You know, even when I got it, it was no way near this good. It's almost a bit difficult to get used to, like when you're getting a new car or something and the brakes are a bit stiff, a bit too responsive. So if I go up to 40 here. Yeah, wow, much better. Much better. I can tell they need a bit of bedding in, but response wise they are incredible compared to before. And I really like that gold as well. It really matches the paintwork of the Freelander and the Camel Trophy and everything else. But yeah, the brake feel is phenomenal in comparison to before. Absolutely phenomenal. So really happy with that. Definitely a good result. First wheel took us a little while as we were sort of figuring everything out. It took us a little while to figure out, you know, how to do it, what, you know, spanner sizes we were looking at. But on the second one, without the rain, it took me about 20 odd minutes. So it was a really, you know, quick job. Apart from that bolt that was seized, well, the slider pin that was seized, once we got that free, it was plain sailing. So you know, re-greased everything as it went back in, etc. So really happy. Not too bad of a job in all fairness. It's just making sure you're methodical and just make sure that bolt's tight, that bolt's tight, you know, because it is your braking system. You don't want to mess up with that. But really happy. And like I said, MTEC did the discs and pads, and then it was I can't remember the name of the guys who did the calipers, but I'll make sure I leave links for everything below. That's these guys. But yeah, really happy with that. The visuals are awesome. I love the gold. And like I say, that responsiveness from the brakes now is just so nice. Just having a whole new system effectively, it really does transform your vehicle's braking system. So you know, if you're feeling like you've got a bit of play in your pedal, or it's really spongy, definitely worthwhile doing this. Giving your brakes a bleed as well at the same time, because you'll have to do that anyway. You know, I went through half one of those bottles, so a good 250-300 mil bleeding, and yeah, made a world of difference. So hope you guys enjoyed this one.